Hello friends, welcome. Friends, in this video which I posted 1 month back, during the course of discussion, one of my viewers asked me this question about virtual network operator not taking off in India, while in many countries virtual network operators have taken off. And why these virtual network operators are charged spectrum fees when they are not getting spectrum directly. Very valid question. And I had responded to this question, right? If you see response 3 here, but I thought since this is a very, very important question, it requires a video. And then there were other viewers also who have raised this point about VO in light of the market becoming very monopolistic and Vodafone Idea becoming weaker and weaker day by day. And government hasn't yet come out with any package. And if they don't, then market will have only two healthy operators. And that is going to be very anti-competitive, and whether VNO can play a role in increasing competitiveness of the market. So friends, we are going to answer all these questions and discuss each and every aspect of VNO in India so that you get a complete picture that why VNO as a model is not working in India. Who is responsible for this? So let's go and take you through all the issues. So the title of this presentation is why VNO model failed in India and why similar models in other countries have been very successful. So before we go into discussing all these crucial issues, it is important for a viewer to understand what is VNO and how it is different from an NSO. VNO is virtual network operator. What does virtual network operator means? The virtual network operator does not own any spectrum, and also it does not own full network infrastructure. Maybe there will be a partial network infrastructure deployment that it can do, but it does not own the full network infrastructure. What it does, it leases capacity from other network service providers, like for example, Bharti Airtel, Reliance Jio, Vodafone Idea. They'll go and say lease spectrum, excess capacity, and use their excess capacity to sell services. In the process, it increases the operational efficiency, business efficiency, and competitiveness of the market, because there are certain value that VNO brings on the table. Because when you are having some excess capacity which you can't sell, VNO can help the operators to sell that capacity at a cheaper price. Globally, VNO has always helped in enhancing competition and offer niche services at lower prices to the consumer. Now, there are some fundamental principles which we have adopted in India while permitting VNO to operate starting from 2016. What is that fundamental principle? Fundamental principle is VNO will not stand on its own. It will be an extension of the NSO. Now, this is a very important point, and I'm going to go straight to the document, the TRAI's recommendation of 2015, where you will see that in one of the places TRAI had said that the VNO is an extension of. Let's not look at this. Let's go to the document, the latest document. The latest document is, because in the latest document, where some revisions were made by TRAI, which is on 13 September 2024, you see here, it quotes its earlier recommendation. VNO should be seen as a facilitator of services by a natural extension of the NSO, not as its competitors. Now, if VNO is not is acting as a competitor to the existing NSO, then how it will increase the competitiveness of the overall sector, right? So you'll see that you can pause the video and read these lines which I have underlined. Now, the access VNOs are restricted also from interconnecting to other NSOs. So if any interconnection has to happen from a VNO to another NSO, that has to happen through the NSO, so which actually limits its autonomy over core functions. So as an outcome, VNO cannot meaningfully differentiate or negotiate across networks, right? So this single parenting and operational rigidity makes VNO quite inflexible in India. it is effectively constrained to a single NSO for access services. So if an NSO is offering certain services, there are certain shortcomings which the NSO has, VNO will carry forward those shortcomings. It can't do any value addition. It is just kind of a facilitator to the existing NSO. There is no dynamic multi-NSO capacity sourcing, no price quality arbitrage, because you can't do that. VNO offering minor parent NSOs, footprint, performance, and constraints. So, what the TRAI actually said in the recommendation and what the guidelines of DOT is that if you are attempting to offer an access services, then you have to parent with one single NSO. But if you are offering services other than access services, when there is no numbering plan which you are seeking, then you are allowed to do whatever you want. But that is more of a back-end service. Key service is the access service, which is directly consumer facing. And if in those services, VNO does not have that kind of flexibility, then the market competitiveness is not going to increase. Now, the key reason why TRAI has prevented VNO to seek services or capacity from multiple NSO is because of this issue of license fee and SUC structure of our country. Now, friends, if you recall in 1999, when the fixed license regime got migrated to revenue share, it was considered as a revolution. Everybody supported it. Now, friends, I can tell you with very confidence that migration from fixed license fee to revenue share actually has become and you can say that it has put the overall telecom industry in such a situation that the telecom industry's ability to collaborate with each other, share their infrastructure, or do this kind of partnership with VNO, etc., has become completely prohibitive. Why? Because of this whole issue about license fee and SUC double counting. Because VNO also has to pay a license fee and they have to pay SUC. Now, if VNO is kind of parented to the NSO and they also pay license fee and a spectrum fee, and VNO also pays license fee and spectrum fee, then the cost of VNO is the revenue of the operator, the parent operator. So it becomes a double counting. And because it becomes a double counting, then it kind of demotivates the VNOs, or it kind of dismantles VNOs' ability to offer cheaper services, because the regulatory cost actually gets superimposed on top of them because of this whole issue about license fee and spectrum charges. So net effect is economic double counting erodes VNO's margin and business viability. So commercial viability gets squeezed. High entry fee, recurring license fee and SUC obligation, additional cost of lease of capacity from NSOs can run retail operations, sales, supporting and billing, right? So there is additional cost. No regulatory pass-through. Because in our sector, this whole license fee and spectrum fee is on the total revenue, except some pass-through is given, which is very, very minimal, right? Interconnect charges, etc. So since it is a total revenue, no pass-through is given. So if one entity who is collaborating with the other entity pay license fee and spectrum fee, the other entity also pay license fee and spectrum fee, why would anybody do any kind of collaboration? They will operate on their own, except our business, which does not pay license fee. Right? That's why it has become so successful, where people are collaborating in sharing their tower infrastructure. You tell me one single business in India, as far as telecom is concerned, where people have been so eager to share infrastructure, right, or share capacity, because if you are going to do that, you are going to only increase the cost of providing services. It is going to be more prohibitive. Now, before I get into the details of why VNO succeeded abroad in other countries, we need to understand that why TRAI prevented VNOs to parent with multiple access VNOs to parent with multiple NSOs. The TRAI, as per TRAI, if you look at the TRAI's recommendation here, what TRAI says is that if VNO were allowed to provide mobile services, um, just a minute, I'll just show you this is the part. Allowing a VNO to have an agreement with more than one NSO in a LSA may lead to operational complexity like compliance of various statutory provision, calculation of spectrum usage charges and license fee. Now, why there will be a complexity in calculating spectrum usage charge? Because TRI said that every operator will have a different rate of SUC. So how do you decide what VNO is going to charge if they are going to start parenting with two different VNOs? So due to this differential SUC slab, issue of separation of AGR would arise as the VNO may not be able to separate their accounting revenue generated from various wireless services it provides to the customer. So VNO operationally is unable to function because of this whole structure of license fee and spectrum fee, SUC, which is based on the revenues of the operator. Now you understand that why Indian telecom industry has not been able to operate with full efficiency, because of the licensing structure which emanate out of the fixed license fees, revenue share. Revenue share is a model which hardly any country follows. And that is the reason why, friends, commercial viability, the VNO succeeded in other countries. Because there is a wholesale framework with freedom to partner with multiple host network operators. And why? Because there are no such kind of constraint which TRAI is pointing out here, right? This differential SUC rate, these operational issues, this arbitrage, how they are going to calculate license fee, how they are going to calculate SUC. These things are not there in other countries. So other countries do not have these baggages and therefore they are successful. Independent pricing, branding, and technical control and core elements also possible. No double taxation, clear separation of wholesale and retail obligation. So Indian consequences of current design, VNOs add limited competitive pressure, essential as a resale of NSO. It's just as a resale of NSO. So if it is just an extension of NSO, it is essentially a resale for NSO, then how it can increase competitiveness of the market? That is the question you should be asking. Market competitiveness for access services mirrors underlying NSO structure. So if VNO is an extension of NSO, that NSO is finally going to be the entity which will decide whether the market is competitive or not. Interest still to niche wireline enterprise segment rather than mass market mobility, because there are certain flexibility which TRA and the DOT has provided for such kind of services which VNO is able to provide. Now, what needs to change the policy levers? We should permit multi-parenting for access VNOs, both wireline and wireline, with clear accounting rules. Or maybe the VNO should be, not required to provide any kind of license fee and spectrum usage charge. Why charge? Just like you have prevented the telecom towers to provide license fee, why you are asking VNOs to provide license fee and spectrum usage charge, which has become a bottleneck, double counting. Enable pass-through or avoid license fee, as we mentioned. Allow a greater operational autonomy, routing, numbering, flexibility, and service platform. Avoid SUC where there is no spectrum usage, right? So, why it hasn't changed yet? Revenue sharing framework prioritize simplicity of collection over market flexibility. This whole revenue which I have been talking about, that spectrum fees, license fee on the revenue, that has been the main bone of contention of the Indian telecom sector, which has prevented the telecom sector to collaborate and increase their business efficiency. And NSOs also has added to this problem, because NSO feel that VNO will increase competitiveness of the sector and their business viability is going to become will go down. And therefore, they are reluctant to open networks for wholesale terms. Compliance and security concerns cited for restricting multi-NSO interworking at the core. So the final message here is, in India, VNOs were designed to complement, not to compete with NSO. Now, if they are going to not compete with NSO, then how they will be able to increase competitiveness of the sector? Without multi-parenting and LFSUC reforms that eliminates double counting, VNOs will remain a token of reform rather than a genuine tool for increasing competition. So I hope, friends, you understood this whole point about why VNO has not taken off in India. And thanks for listening till the end. And I will come back with a new video on a new topic next time. Thank you very much, friends.